enable a computer system to understand human language, it must have a way to represent knowledge and meaning in a form that system can work with. This is where knowledge representation comes in. Knowledge representation involves designing a formal approach to represent knowledge in a way a computer can process. In artificial intelligence, knowledge representation is the process of presenting information about the real world in a way that a computer system can comprehend and use. Knowledge representation aims to give computers a method to reason about the real world, make choices, and resolve issues based on the information that is available to them. Natural language processing relies heavily on the knowledge representation since it gives the text data a way to represent and manipulate meaning. NLP deals with understanding and processing human language, which involves understanding the meaning of words and sentence. In NLP, knowledge representation represents meaning in text data such as sentences, paragraphs, and documents. This representation enables NLP systems to analyze and manipulate the meaning of text data in various ways, such as information retrieval, question answering, text summarization, sentiment analysis, and machine translation. Overall, knowledge representation is a crucial component of NLP because it gives text data with ability to represent and manipulate meaning, which is necessary for computers to understand and process human language. After all, NLP is a subfield of artificial intelligence that deals with the interaction between computers and humans using natural language. NLP involves in a wide range of tasks such as text classification, machine translation, chatbots, and many more. If you want to become an expert in the field of AI and ML, then take up the professional certificate program in AI and ML by Simplilearn and master those necessary skills. Check out the link in the description for more details. Knowledge representation is a critical component of artificial intelligence and a rapidly growing field. There are many exciting career opportunities available for professionals with expertise in this area. Some of the most popular career paths in knowledge representation and AI include AI engineer, natural language processing specialist, AI researcher, knowledge engineer, chatbot developer, data scientist, and many more. The average base income of an AI engineer in India is ₹9,80,000 per year, whereas the average base pay of an AI engineer in the United States is $128,005 per annum. It's worth noting that AI is a rapidly growing field in India, as there is a high demand for skilled professionals in this area, which can result in higher salaries and attractive compensation package for qualified candidates. On that note, welcome to the Simplilearn YouTube channel. Today we are here with an interesting video on knowledge representation in AI. Without any further delay, let's have a look at the agenda. So first, we'll start with what is knowledge representation. Next, what kind of knowledge to represent in AI. Advancing, we will understand the types of knowledge. Moving ahead, let's have a look at the AI knowledge cycle, and then the properties, and finally the approaches of knowledge representation. Before going deep into the topic, let us understand knowledge representation with an example. So, imagine you're organizing a party and you need to keep a track of your guests' dietary restrictions. So, you could represent this information in a table that lists each guest and their dietary restrictions. So, in this table, each row represents a guest and the column represents their name and dietary restriction. Organizing this information in a structured way allows you to reference it as needed throughout the party planning process quickly. So this is an example of knowledge representation because you are using a system to represent information meaningfully that can be easily accessed and used. Other examples of knowledge representation include using a graph to represent relationships between concepts or a decision tree to represent a decision-making process. Now we got a basic idea of what is knowledge representation in AI. So moving ahead, let's have a look at the various kinds of knowledge that AI needs to represent. So first, object. So an object is a thing or entity that can be identified and described. So for example, a car, a person, or a book are all objects. Coming to events, an event happens at a specific time and place. For example, a wedding, a concert, or a game are all events. Next is performance. Performance is a measure of how well a task is accomplished. For example, in sports, performance might be how many points a player scores or how fast a runner completes a race. Next, we have meta-knowledge. So meta-knowledge refers to knowledge about knowledge. It is the knowledge that describes how other pieces of knowledge are related to each other. For example, knowing that a car is a type of vehicle is an example of meta-knowledge. Next, we have facts. So facts are statements that are true or false. For example, the sky is blue is a fact. Knowledge base. A knowledge base is a collection of knowledge and information that is organized and stored in a specific way. For example, a customer information database is a type of knowledge base. To provide an example of these concepts, consider the domain of a car dealership. In this domain, an object might be a specific car model, such as the Toyota Camry. An event may be a test driver or a purchase of a car. So performance might be how well a salesperson can sell a specific car model. And meta-knowledge suggests that the Toyota Camry is a sedan type. A fact might be that the Camry has a particular fuel efficiency rating. Finally, the knowledge base might include information about the customer preference, sales data, and vehicle specification. So next, let's discuss on the types of knowledges. First, we have declarative knowledge. This is factual knowledge about the world, including information about objects, concepts, events, and relationships. Declarative knowledge can be represented as a set of propositions or statements. Next, we have procedural knowledge. This is knowledge about how to do things, including skills, procedures, and techniques. So, procedural knowledge can be represented as a set of rules or algorithms. And next, we have meta-knowledge. So, meta-knowledge refers to the knowledge that describes or characterizes other knowledge. It provides information about other knowledge properties, relationships, and context. Next, we have heuristic knowledge. Refers to knowledge occurring through trial and error, and it often based on experience rather than formal rules or logical reasoning. And finally, we have structural knowledge. Structural knowledge refers to the organization and arrangement of information or data meaningfully. Structural knowledge is used to create models that describes the relationships between different concepts or entities in knowledge representation. So following to this, we have cycle of knowledge representation in AI. So perception. So perception is the process by which information is gathered through the sense and processed by the brain. In the context of knowledge representation, perception refers to the ability of an AI system to sense and interact with the real world and extract meaningful information from it. Then we have learning. So learning is gaining new knowledge, skills, or behavior through experience, study, or instruction. In the context of knowledge representation, learning refers to the ability of a system to acquire new information and modify its internal knowledge representation based on that information. And then we have knowledge representation and reasoning. So knowledge representation is creating a model of knowledge in a computer system that can be used for reasoning and decision making. The reasoning is used that model to conclude, make inferences, and solve problems. So in the context of knowledge representation, the goal is to represent knowledge in a way that it is efficient and effective for reasoning. And then we have planning. Planning is creating a sequence of actions to achieve a goal. In the context of knowledge representation, planning refers to the ability of a system to create a plan of action based on its internal knowledge representation. And finally, we have execution. Execution is the process of carrying out a plan of action. In the context of knowledge representation, execution refers to the ability of the system to implement a plan of action based on its internal knowledge representation and the environment factor it perceives. Now let's discuss the properties. Several properties of knowledge representation, including expressiveness. A knowledge representation system should be able to express a wide range of concepts and relationships between them. The next property is inferential adequacy. A knowledge representation system should support the ability to reason with the represented knowledge. The next property is efficiency. A knowledge representation system should be able to manipulate and retrieve knowledge efficiently. Next, transparency. A knowledge representation system should be transparent to the user, allowing them to understand and modify the knowledge quickly. And finally, scalability. A knowledge representation system should be able to handle large amounts of data and still maintain its efficiency and expressiveness. Moving ahead, let's have a look at the approaches of knowledge representation. Knowledge representation is an essential aspect of artificial intelligence that involves organizing and structuring knowledge in a way that computer systems can effectively utilize. There are different approaches of knowledge representation in AI, including simple relational, inheritable, inferential, and procedural knowledge. So let's explore each of these approaches of knowledge representation with an example. First, we have simple relational knowledge. This type of knowledge representation involves organizing knowledge through relationships between entities or objects. Simple relational knowledge is typically a set of rules defining the relationships between different objects. For example, a simple relational knowledge representation for a family could be: John is the father of Mary. Mary is the sister of Peter. Peter is the son of John. Next, inheritable knowledge. Inheritable knowledge represents the knowledge that can be passed on from one object or entity to another. So this type of knowledge representation is often used to represent hierarchical relationships between objects. For example, an animal that belongs to the class of mammals inherits all the attributes of its parent class. So in this case, the inheritable knowledge is represented as mammals are warm-blooded animals, dogs are mammals, therefore dogs are also warm-blooded animals. Next, inferential knowledge. Inferential knowledge represents knowledge derived from another knowledge. So this type of knowledge representation is often used to represent logical relationships between objects. For example, in a medical diagnosis system, a doctor might infer a patient's condition based on their symptoms. So the inferential knowledge is represented as if a patient has a fever and a cough, they might have pneumonia. The patient has a fever and a cough, therefore the patient might have pneumonia. Next, procedural knowledge. Procedural knowledge represents the knowledge that involves a sequence of actions or steps to achieve a particular goal. So this knowledge representation is often used in expert systems or intelligent agents performing tasks or solving problems. For example, a procedural knowledge representation for making a cup of tea could be: boil water in a kettle, put a tea bag in a cup, pour the hot water into the cup, wait for a few minutes, remove the tea bag and add sugar or milk as desired. So overall, knowledge representation is a critical aspect of AI, and different types of knowledge representation helps to organize knowledge in ways that the computer system can effectively utilize. So guys, what are your thoughts on how effective knowledge representation is for AI system? Do let me know in the comment section. If you like this video, share it with your friends. Before I sign off, make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to get all the updates. We'll be back with more such interesting videos. Until then, keep learning and stay tuned to Simplilearn.
Hi there, if you like this video, subscribe to the Simplilearn YouTube channel and click here to watch similar videos. To nerd up and get certified, click here.